Hello and welcome back. Now, I've been debating how I want to do this. I started this on my old phone before it broke, and obviously I lost all that data, so I lost the video I had recorded before. Since then, a lot has happened with this, so I've been trying to kind of figure out how I want to go about this. Here's the big question, here's why you clicked into it. Buying a guitar off of DHgate and AliExpress. Is it worth it? Well, I've already unboxed this, so let's act like we're surprised. Oh, what's in the box? Oh my. Oh. Wow. Now, when I decided to do this video, I have been asked many times what my thoughts are on buying specifically DHgate and AliExpress guitars, but I figured that would cover, buying Chinese guitars in general. Now, at that point, I had little experience with those guitars. When I decided I wanted to do this, I wanted to do something ridiculous and off the wall because that's just who I am and I love guitars like that. So, I decided to go with this, which is, if you're a fan of Prince, a replication of the Model C, which Prince used predominantly in the 80s and now resides in a museum, I believe. My first thought was to go with Prince's cloud guitar, and when I started looking at that, then I saw this one, and obviously it's a bit off the wall, kind of looks like a sword. In the words of Jared Dines, y'all guitar makers out there are making weapons. The best way I can describe this is it looks like a sword from Final Fantasy. So, things to expect when you order a guitar, and I would say this goes for ordering a guitar from anywhere, is you're going to have to do a setup on it. Regardless of where you purchase from, I know that most people who do unboxings want to talk about how, oh my goodness, right out of the box, this thing is flawless. And that may be the case in some places. I mean, especially the closer you order to your own home. I would say if you're ordering anything overseas, expect to do some work on it because the wood is going to move. It is going through several different climates, it's being moved around, etc., etc. I've done nothing with this since I've unboxed this. So this is in exactly the state, aside from tuning it, that it was when I took it out of the box. The first thing that I noticed, I always check for sharp fret ends, and I would recommend doing this with any guitar you purchase. In shipment, the neck is going to move. Those are going to be pronounced. And I would say, as far as that goes, I am impressed with how little sharp pieces there are. Now, I don't know if we can catch that on camera. If you look at those fret ends, they're all over the place. They're flat, they're round. I wouldn't say that this fret dressing was done well, but there are only a couple sharp fret ends, which I do plan to address. Now, part of the reason I haven't done anything with this is ordering it from there worth it? I would ultimately say no. I was very excited when I opened the box, and obviously it was face up, so all you can see is this. And just from a glance, it doesn't look all that bad. Everything is exactly what I was looking for, except for the fact that I noticed, and maybe you caught on already, the hardware is chrome. In our listing, everything was gold. So that was the first thing I noticed, and that I could have lived with. Upon closer inspection, and again, I don't know how much of that the camera is going to pick up, but it looks like they tuned it with a vice grip. Those tuning pegs are chewed up. And I understand that you can't, it's hard to get your fingers in there and work with these. You can get kind of the outer ones, but once you get to the inner ones, it's a mess. But the worst part about it is they sent the tool to do it with. If you have the tool, why would you even bother using vice grips? So that right off the bat bothered me. And that was before I even picked it up out of the box. The other things that I started noticing was the paint job is rough. Right in here particularly. Some rough patches around the end. Nothing that I couldn't buff out and live with. The main thing that I noticed as soon as I picked it up was the fact that this piece is broken off. And from looking at it closer, that is a clean slice. It looks like they glued it to the top and then painted over it. Now, I could say that in shipment it got damaged. This is a ridiculous guitar, so obviously that risk is going to be there. And the reason I say that is because it also chipped the very point of the head, which is also a bummer. But the reason I say that this wasn't necessarily the shipping's fault is because that's too clean. That's too clean to be a break from shipment. I think shipment knocked it loose because all that was really holding that together was the paint, which immediately irked me. So, story time. Immediately after seeing that, I reached out to the company that I got this from, and I'm not going to say their particular name, but they make a lot of guitars. And the reason I lump DHgate and AliExpress together is because this particular seller is on both of those and sells a ton of the guitars that are on there. Now, was I expecting to do a little bit of work on this? Yes. I don't want to glorify any company in particular. Your guitars are going to need maintenance. They will always need maintenance. And especially when you change temperatures and move them around, they're going to need more maintenance. So, whereas I'm surprised with how few sharp ends there are, I was expecting that because it all moves. What I was not expecting when I purchased this was a project guitar. Now, I will say that this was around $550. So for that kind of money, I would expect mid-range, maybe like Epiphone. But, you know, something like that is still quality. It's still in one piece. It's still a playable guitar. Does this play? Yes. The craftsmanship is not worth almost a $600 guitar. So I reached out to them. I told them all my gripes. I purchased this around May, June. I waited a whole month for this to be shipped. And then a whole almost 2 months for it to arrive to me. With that being said, I ordered parts from China. It's not unbeknownst to me that there is a time lapse when you purchase things from overseas, particularly from the China region, and especially with COVID. So I was not particularly shocked with the time frame. What I was particularly shocked with was their rebuttal back to me. Well, we can credit you $70. Which to me seemed like a big slap in the face because $70, being a luthier and repairman myself, is not going to cover the repair. I know that. I've done these repairs. I'm competent enough to do these repairs. My point to them was that I purchased a guitar, not a project. So finally it was a back and forth battle. The offer back went up a little bit here and there. But then I spent another, it's November now, so another couple months fighting with them. Back and forth to try and get my refund. Now a refund for them in their mind is that, well, you're out your money right now. You can ship it back, pay for shipment to get it back, and then once they receive it, they will then give you a refund for both the price of the good and the price you paid to ship it. Which is a horrible offer, because not only are you already out, in my case, almost $600, they're expecting you to pay roughly $100 plus to ship it back, and then hopefully get that back when it returns to them. So I continued to fight with them. Because not only did I not get my refund at that point, they're asking me to then ship it back for over more money, and then wait a couple months for it to possibly return to them and possibly get my refund. Which, as you can imagine, didn't settle well with me. So I continued to fight more. Finally, we did settle out. And this guitar is now mine. I now have a project. But I would say that with all of that, even though I'm happy with the result in the end, I wouldn't recommend going through that again. I spent, close to half a year dealing with this thing, and basically not touching this for the possibility that I would have to ship it back. So I've really only played it a few times. I haven't even set the neck. I haven't done anything with the frets. Like I said, aside from tuning it just to test it out and plugging it in, I haven't really played it much at all. It's just been sitting here while I fought with them. Now, aside from all of those things and the damages, I like the way it sounds. I'm really happy with it. I do like this bridge. It takes a little bit to dial in. It does have this little lock here, which really is only holding on it by a peg. So that locks the tremolo in place so that it can't move, as you can see. But then when you pop it, you can then have tremolo. It's got two simple EMG style pickups. I'm sure they're knockoff. I'm not expecting anything fancy. I haven't opened up any of these controls, so I'm just assuming that these are the cheap wire kits that you can buy off like eBay. I'm sure it's the same equivalent. So nothing too fancy here. This bridge is made in Korea, as well as the string housing at the top of the neck. For all intents and purposes, this is a headless guitar. It's just in a ridiculous shape. So I will be splining this back together, and I will be doing we'll call it a headstock repair by adding a spline in here to reattach this piece here. Does it affect the guitar? No. It is kind of annoying when you're up at the top fret because you can kind of feel it knocking back and forth. This is going to need a neck adjustment. It's got a horrible buzz. So I'm probably going to have to address that. I want to address the frets too. What really worries me about this is the one thing I did not expect when I got this was that everything is painted, even the fretboard. I did not expect the fretboard to be painted, which makes me a little nervous to do the fret ends. But we'll press on. The other thing I don't like is it's unmarked entirely. There's not even any side dots. So because I have to work on this anyway, I may go ahead and add side dots. Is it a deal breaker? No. It's a clean look, and if you look at pictures of Prince's guitar, his also doesn't have side dots. Now see that here, this is that little tool that I was talking about that they send to tune it with. Not only does it just extend it so you can grab with your fingers, but it also has the hex nut on there, so you can get a little further past your paint job, which I thought was kind of nice. In the end, I'm happy with the way it ended up. I get to keep the guitar, so with a little maintenance and some added labor that I wasn't planning on, I can get this up to working order. Does it fit in? Sure it does. This is absolutely ridiculous, and it's a surprise I've kept this a secret for this long, because normally when I get something this ridiculous, it's shared right away. As far as the legalities of it, this is going to be one that I hang on to. Unfortunately, it is a copy, so I don't know what kind of copyright there is, and I don't even know if the company is still in business right now. I mean, they only ever really made one-offs. I believe with this model, particularly the Model C, the man only made 2 of these and a bass for Prince's bass player. I don't know that he made any other ones. If I'm wrong, you can let me know in the comments below, but I believe that was all that he made. What I do know about this is that this is a mahogany body, and I can verify that with the wood that I can see. And so it's mahogany body, mahogany neck through, sort of, aside from this crazy cutout that they did. And it's painted all white. I'm not sure what kind of fretboard is on here. It does say that it's an ebony fretboard, but I can't verify that necessarily. Aside from a little bit of the paint that's chipped off here, it looks like ebony. I'm just going to have to trust their word on that. Everything else is not brand name. Anyway, if you like these review videos, or you like other videos like this, let me know down in the comments. I'd be happy to do more reviews. Am I happy with this guitar? For what it is, yes. I was hoping for more, and I was hoping to not have to work on it as elaborately as I have to. But in the end, I'm glad I have it in my collection. It's ridiculous. It fits me perfectly. I love ridiculous guitars like this. What's your favorite ridiculous guitar? Let me know down in the comments below. So with that, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.